This is a video I'm making on the Bradley Mayhem versus the Benchmade 53. I'm making this video because a lot of people had questions on how they compare. They are both kind of built for EDC purposes, and they both kind of have a lot of the same design cues and styles. So in some respects, that makes them pretty good knives to compare to one another. So I'm going to just kind of go over the differences and kind of give you my opinion on which one is maybe the one I prefer, which one, how each one flips compared to the other, and how each one is built compared to one another. I guess what I'll do is I'll start from the latch up, and to begin with, the Mayhem. The Mayhem is actually built by Benchmade, for those who may not know, and it uses its standard spring latch with the same disc type latch. The 53 uses the like a pin style latch. It is not a spring latch. It just freely goes back and forth. The latch on the Mayhem is it could be removed because there is a screw that goes through here. The latch on the 53, however, is pinned in. So if you want to remove it, you'd have to press the pin out. They both do share the same pocket clip, pretty much identical pocket clips. But I do like how on the Mayhem, the pocket clip is flush and mount into the handle, and on the 53, it's kind of just attached on top of the handle. The spacers, the Mayhem uses barrel spacers, whereas the 53 uses a solid piece of aluminum. The handles on the Mayhem are titanium. These are titanium slabs, whereas on the 53, it is just G10. There's no liners of any sort. It's just purely G10. The texturing on the Mayhem is pretty smooth. It's a little bit grippy. It's not as smooth as, say, like polished titanium or stainless steel. And the 53 it has kind of a rough texturing to it, a little bit more so on the back than the top or front of the handles. The 53 has shorter handles, whereas the Mayhem, as you can see, kind of fits more of your hand. They both are curved. This one, the Mayhem, has an indent here and a little part for your finger here. I think comparatively the Mayhem is a lot more comfortable to hold than the 53. 53 also has this little piece that I mentioned in the review that kind of sticks into your finger, where the Mayhem is nice and clean up front. And also, because this is a little shorter, you feel this a little bit more in your palm. And the Mayhem, it goes all the way across your hand. So all in all, I think the Mayhem feels better. The 53 is a little bit thicker. It's a little bit wider. That feels good in hand, but I don't think it's more comfortable because of its thickness over the Mayhem. I like the Mayhem. Even though it is thinner, it kind of gives you a sense of more control in some regards. The pin system on the 53 is tang pins. So you have two tang pins here, and they make there's a little cutout here on each side to stop the handles from making contact with the blade. The Mayhem, on the other hand, is it uses Zen pins. Zen pins, for those of you who don't know, there's no pins in the blade at all. It's a cutout in the tang of the blade, and then there's two cutouts a little bit above it. So that's what actually makes contact with these pins and stops the blade from contacting the handles. I like the look of the Zen pins better. When flipping, I like the feel of tang pins a little bit better. They both have their pros and cons. The system, the bearing or the pivot system on the Mayhem are bushings, and they have phosphorus bronze washers. It rotates very nicely. The 53 uses a bearing type system, and it feels nice, but like I mentioned in the review for flipping, it actually has too little friction, so the handles kind of want to fly everywhere, whereas the Mayhem has a little bit more resistance, so you have a little bit more control when you are flipping it. The jimping on the blade, it's a little bit more aggressive on the 53. The Mayhem has like a smoother jimping. Doesn't really offer much traction at all. The back of the spine of the blades on the 53, it's pretty much squared off, whereas on the Mayhem, it's crowned, it's smoothed off, so it feels a little more comfortable when you want to rest your thumb on here. And if you compare it like this, it looks like the stock of the 53 is thicker than the Mayhem, but if you look right here, actually the the Mayhem has I think a little bit of a thicker blade than the 53. This is D2 steel. It's a full flat grind for the 53. It's about, I guess, a 3-inch blade. The Bradley Mayhem uses SV 30, or I'm sorry, S30V steel, which they're both good. Really, I don't know much about steels. My experience has been that D2 is very durable, a little bit tougher to sharpen. S30V is also very durable. I think it's a little bit easier to sharpen from my experience, but you know, some people may have different experiences. The Mayhem has a kind of it's ground almost to the top, and then the top here is also just, the swedge is ground a little bit. It's not a full flat. I like a full flat grind for EDC. The 53 has a little bit more of a sweep. I think the 53 overall has a more utilitarian blade than the Mayhem, but this Mayhem blade still functions very well and has a little bit more length to it. Overall feel, Mayhem has a little, I think a Mayhem has a little bit more of a solid feel to it. It's a little heavier. The 53 feels a little bit light, a little bit more, it feels more fragile. I don't think it actually, you know, is more fragile because it's pretty durable. G10's pretty durable stuff. As flippers, well, they both are not good flippers, but I'd still have to give a little bit of advantage to the Mayhem, just because the handles are a little bit heavier, it's longer. It is very blade heavy, but so is the 53, and because the 53 has a bearing system, it just makes it that much harder. Bushings, in my opinion, are ideal for flipping. Overall, which one would I choose? I like the Mayhem a lot more than the 53, but you also have to consider that it is also, depending on where you get it, 100 or more than 100, maybe $120 more than the 53. So that being said, you know, you have to take that into consideration. This is built with less expensive materials, but it's also $100 to $120 less. Would I say that the 53 is a replacement for the Mayhem? Definitely not. They are similar, like I said, in the way that they're built and their purpose, but they're two very different knives. You know, this titanium handle and just the feel of it, the way it was constructed, just gives it an overall very different feel from the 53. But they both make decent EDCs. I would say that, in my opinion, the Mayhem is better. But you have to make that decision based on price and what your needs are. So that, I hope, kind of helps you see the differences between the two knives, and hope it helps you make your decision if you do decide to pick up either one of these knives. Both good. Edge goes to the Mayhem. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know. Thanks for watching.